It's what we all should have expected. Let's pull it up. They stated Caitlin Clark underwent further medical evaluations earlier this week, which confirmed that no additional injuries or damages were discovered. Caitlin Clark will continue working with the medical team on her recovery and rehabilitation, with the priority on how long health and her well-being will be. There is no notable time available for her return. Now, just like I stated, guys, this should not come as no surprise.
The Indiana Fever organization has released an official statement regarding Caitlin Clark's ongoing groin injury, confirming that no definitive return timeline exists for the Star Guard. Following comprehensive medical evaluations conducted earlier this week, team physicians determined that while no additional damage or complications were discovered, Clark's recovery process requires continued attention from medical staff with primary focus on long-term health and overall well-being. The absence of a concrete return date represents a significant concern for both the franchise and fans who have been following daily injury updates over recent weeks. Previous organizational communications suggesting day-to-day status have been replaced with acknowledgement that Clark's rehabilitation timeline remains uncertain, reflecting the complexity of soft tissue injuries affecting professional athletes. Medical experts familiar with similar injuries have drawn parallels between Clark's current situation and challenges faced by other elite athletes who experience rapid physical transformation.
Surprise, bro. I told you. Caitlin Clark was injured with her mobility. When she caught the first groin injury, that's what really kind of did everything in for her, guys. It was just not looking good after that first one. And unfortunately, this is the hand we're dealt with. Now, I did a video early this morning. If you guys did not see it, I'm going to put some of it in this video, kind of breaking down what Michael Jordan, former trainer,
The addition of significant muscle mass in compressed time frames can potentially impact biomechanics and movement patterns, creating vulnerability to specific injury types including groin strains and related soft tissue problems. Training specialists have referenced successful rehabilitation approaches used with legendary athletes like Michael Jordan, who experienced similar injury patterns early in his professional career. Jordan's former trainer noted that the future Hall of Famer was particularly susceptible to groin pulls and ankle injuries during his second NBA season, when the league's physical nature placed tremendous demands on players' bodies. The trainer's philosophy emphasized addressing existing injuries and mobility issues before focusing on strength and speed development. This approach contradicts common athletic training methodologies that prioritize making athletes quicker, stronger, faster as primary objectives.
What Michael Jordan, former trainer, stated the Indiana Fever possibly could do to get her ready and stop these damn injuries. But make a long story short, Caitlin Clark adding that muscle to her frame in that short period of time ultimately altered her mobility. That is what I believe happened. A lot of people are starting to catch on now, so whatever. But that is what is currently going down. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, John the Liquidator, coming back with another video. And it looked like Michael.
According to this perspective, enhanced physical capabilities without proper injury prevention foundation can increase susceptibility to additional problems. Clark's physical transformation during the offseason garnered significant media attention, with photographs revealing substantial muscle development compared to her collegiate physique. While this preparation was intended to help her withstand the WNBA's physical demands, some analysts suggest the rapid changes may have contributed to current mobility challenges and injury patterns. The biomechanical implications of sudden muscle gain can affect walking mechanics, particularly when muscle imbalances develop or joint movement becomes restricted. These changes can create compensatory movement patterns that place additional stress on other body areas, potentially explaining Clark's recurring groin issues and overall injury susceptibility.
Boy, John the Liquidator, coming back with another video, and it looked like Michael Jordan, trainer, has shared his thoughts about Caitlin Clark injury and how he was able to transform MJ into the player we love today. Guys, for this one, we got to go all the way up to Indy. Let's get it. Let's go. To tell you guys that Caitlin Clark more than likely is going to miss yet another game. Now, many people has been speculating about her going to see other doctors, claiming that, the injury
Team dynamics within the Indiana Fever have become increasingly complex as Clark's injury situation continues. Social media activity from family members of other players has revealed underlying tensions regarding team hierarchy, recognition, and individual contributions to franchise success. These comments highlight potential locker room challenges that extend beyond typical competitive dynamics. Kelsey Mitchell's family members have expressed frustration through various online platforms, suggesting that Clark's prominence overshadows other players' contributions to team success. Their statements emphasize Mitchell's consistency, durability, and historical importance to the franchise, while questioning Clark's defensive commitment and ability to handle physical play.
You know, the injury could be worse than what it is, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, I've been a strong advocate, me and one other person, about this Caitlin Clark adding this muscle to her body very quickly. Now, the trainer did speak about Caitlin Clark actually putting on muscle, and he compared everything to Michael Jordan, how he was able to help him overcome his injury. So if you guys didn't know, MJ, his second year, because the NBA used to be just as physical, or if not more physical than
The timing of these public comments coinciding with Clark's injury absence creates additional pressure on team management to address both medical and interpersonal challenges. Family members' assertions about Mitchell's MVP candidacy and franchise importance highlight potential resentment regarding media coverage and public recognition distribution. Statistical analysis of the Fever's recent playoff appearance supports arguments about Clark's impact on team success. The franchise's inability to reach postseason play in previous seasons, despite Mitchell's consistent performance, suggests that Clark's addition provided necessary elements for competitive improvement beyond individual statistics. However, the motion offense system currently employed by Indiana may limit Clark's scoring opportunities compared to her collegiate production levels.
as physical, or if not more physical than the current WNBA. Now, the referees wasn't as bad. These are probably the worst referees we've seen in all of basketball ever, bro. Now, with all that being said, the homeboy over on Twitter, Mike, he put together a collection of tweets kind of breaking down his thoughts as well about this whole situation. He stated, "This is what I mean when I say I think Caitlin Clark adding a lot of muscle so quick may of impacting her mechanics, thus leading to so."
This tactical approach emphasizes ball movement and team involvement rather than individual scoring dominance, potentially affecting her statistical output while improving overall team efficiency. The physical nature of professional women's basketball has created adjustment challenges for Clark, who faced less intense defensive pressure during her college career. The league's increased physicality, combined with inconsistent officiating standards, has contributed to her injury issues and overall adaptation difficulties. Medical treatment options for Clark's injury may include advanced therapies such as stem cell injections or other regenerative medicine approaches. These treatments could potentially accelerate healing timelines, though any decisions regarding alternative treatments would require coordination with team medical staff and league protocols.
So quick may of impacting her mechanics, thus leading to so many soft tissue injuries. Now, I have to agree with him. He is definitely right. I've been an advocate in saying this, and he has too as well. Just like bodybuilders walk different, although that is a pretty drastic example, I wanted to make a point. Then let's read this right here. So he went on ahead and asked overview. Overview stated, yes, adding too much muscle can potentially hurt walking mechanics, particularly if it leads to muscle imbalance.
The uncertain recovery timeline creates roster management challenges for Indiana's coaching staff, who must adjust tactical approaches and rotation patterns without their primary playmaker. This situation tests team depth and adaptability while placing additional pressure on other guards to assume expanded responsibilities. Fan expectations and media attention surrounding Clark's return continue generating speculation about treatment decisions and recovery progress. The gap between public interest in her status and medical realities of soft tissue healing creates ongoing communication challenges for franchise management. Long-term implications of Clark's injury pattern raise questions about training methodologies and physical preparation strategies for elite athletes transitioning between competitive levels.
Muscle imbalance or restricts joint movement. And guys, I'm here to tell you that is exactly what is happening with Caitlin Clark. I believe there's an imbalance in her walk that has caused the other side of her leg to be kind of weakened. And the league being as physical as it is isn't helping as well. But let's check out what Michael Jordan trainer actually said that he did with MJ to kind of help him overcome these injuries. Roll the footage.
The balance between strength development and injury prevention requires careful consideration, particularly for players facing significant increases in game intensity and physical demands. The situation demonstrates broader challenges within professional sports regarding athlete development, media pressure, and team chemistry management. Successfully navigating these complexities requires coordination between medical professionals, coaching staff, front office personnel, and players themselves. Looking forward, Clark's eventual return will likely require modified training approaches that prioritize movement quality and injury prevention alongside performance enhancement. The lessons learned from this experience may influence future athlete development protocols and transition strategies for players moving from collegiate to professional competition.
Like Sophie Cunningham is on a streak of a 6-game double-digit, ridiculously efficient streak. And by the way, her defense today was fantastic. I know it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but like Sophie Cunningham's switchability, what she did to point fraud today, might violate the Geneva Convention, may have violated the Geneva Convention. What she did to point fraud.
The resolution of both Clark's medical situation and team dynamic issues will significantly impact Indiana's immediate competitive prospects and long-term organizational stability. Successfully managing these challenges requires comprehensive approaches addressing physical, tactical, and interpersonal elements affecting franchise success. Critics who previously questioned Sophie Cunningham's basketball abilities and roster worthiness now face contradictory evidence regarding their assessments. While early shooting percentages supported negative evaluations and raised legitimate concerns about trade value, recent performances demonstrate significant improvement and validation of her potential contributions.
The Geneva Convention may have violated the Geneva Convention. What she did to point fraud. Like, she played the best defense I have ever seen from a Fever player in any individual game. That is a complete exaggeration. Lexi Hall had a couple of games last year where she's locked people down. But, you know, not that far off. And like Sophie Cunningham, I think Sophie Cunningham is saying Sophie's the Indiana feeder versus Phoebish. Well, let's not get...
Cunningham's recent offensive surge includes a 15-point performance on efficient shooting, followed by consecutive double-digit scoring efforts across 6 games with remarkable efficiency metrics. Her 15-point output on 8 shots, subsequent 12 points on 12 attempts, and 11 points on 6 shots illustrate sustained production that contradicts earlier criticism. The acquisition cost remains debatable, with valid arguments suggesting Indiana overpaid in the transaction. However, Cunningham's current form justifies roster inclusion and demonstrates value despite initial skepticism.
Get that far. Phoebish is way better than Sophie Cunningham. But bringing in Sophie Cunningham, I just wish the Indiana Fever didn't get screwed in that trade. The only thing I'll say is that it was Sanaya Rivers and Nalissa Smith for KK and Sophie Cunningham. But they could have gotten KK with their own pick, one pick later. So I don't think it's the worst.
Her recent 6-game streak of double-digit scoring with exceptional efficiency ratios provides strong counter-evidence to detractors' positions. Defensive contributions extend beyond statistical measurements, particularly her exceptional performance against opposing guards. Her switching ability and perimeter defense created significant disruption, representing potentially the most dominant individual defensive display by any Fever player in recent memory. While this assessment may contain hyperbole, few comparable performances exist for comparison, with only Lexi Hull's previous lockdown efforts approaching similar impact levels.
I don't think it's the worst trade in hindsight, like value-wise, but at the same time, I think they could have still kept one of the picks. But actually, they didn't have enough roster spots. They didn't have enough roster spots to bring in both, so it would have just meant cutting KK. You know what? It is what it is. But at the end of the day, Sophie Cunningham has been an X factor, and Natasha Howard, you gotta give Natasha Howard credit here. You absolutely
Comparisons between Cunningham and elite players like Ajay Wilson remain inappropriate given their vastly different skill levels and career achievements. Wilson's superiority requires no debate, though Cunningham's addition provides valuable roster depth and tactical flexibility that Indiana previously lacked. Trade evaluation reveals complex considerations regarding draft positioning and roster construction. The transaction essentially exchanged Sire Rivers and Melissa Smith for KK Deans and Cunningham, though Indiana potentially could have selected Deans with their subsequent pick.
Have got to give Natasha Howard some credit, because especially when Caitlin Clark is out, what Natasha Howard manages to do sometimes, she just goes and cooks. She absolutely goes and cooks. But for me, it is, without question, it is Sophie Cunningham has been one of the main X factors in this team. And the problem is that
While this creates questions about trade necessity, roster limitations would have required releasing players regardless, making the exchange more palatable in retrospect. Natasha Howard deserves recognition for her consistent contributions, particularly when Clark remains unavailable. Howard's ability to elevate her performance and provide reliable scoring represents crucial organizational depth. Her veteran presence and scoring capability make her invaluable during challenging stretches.
Is that in a lot of ways, it's kind of pushed Lexi out. But Lexi Hull, there's a very clear difference between Lexi Hull with Caitlin and Lexi Hull without Caitlin. They're two different players. But Lexi Hull, in her defense, even when the shot's not falling, Lexi gives 1,000,000% effort. She's there grabbing boards. Lexi's there doing everything. So I'm not out here. I'm not going to, by any means, be out here insulting Lexi Hull. We're not doing that. We are absolutely not doing that. But,
Cunningham emerges as a primary difference maker whose impact extends beyond statistics. Her presence creates tactical options and provides consistent production that addresses previous roster deficiencies. This emergence has affected playing time distribution, particularly regarding Hull's minutes and role definition. Hull's performance varies significantly based on Clark's availability, representing two distinct player profiles depending on lineup composition.
But, yeah, it is what it is. And I think the Indiana Fever have figured out some of their role players. You guys agree, subscribe. We are trying to hit 55, 350 by the end of the day. Like, they have... The Indiana Fever, they're so close. They are so close to being good when it comes to next year. Like, players that you get rid of. Like, if you... Look, you don't need Coulson. If you want to keep Ari...
With Clark present, Hull functions effectively within defined parameters. Without Clark, her impact diminishes noticeably, though her effort and energy remain consistently high regardless of shooting performance or statistical output. Hull maintains exceptional work ethic and contributes across multiple categories even during shooting struggles. Her rebounding effort and defensive intensity provide value beyond scoring, making criticism inappropriate despite reduced offensive production.
You keep Ari, that's fine. But it needs to literally be Caitlin plays 30, Ari plays 10. They play 2 minutes with each other. Like, it's gotta be like that. But for me, you don't keep Dantas next year. You keep KK, you keep Lexi, you keep Ari, you keep Aaliyah, you keep Sophie Cunningham, you keep Howard if she is willing to come on a cheaper deal. If she is willing to come on a cheaper deal, you keep Howard.
Her commitment level never wavers regardless of circumstances or role changes. Indiana's role player development shows encouraging progress with several contributors establishing clear identities and consistent production. The organization appears close to optimizing rotation decisions and personnel management for future success. Roster construction for upcoming seasons requires strategic decisions regarding player retention and improvement.